Hello, anybody that's here. These are always so awkward. I don't think there's an ad playing, so I don't know if there's much of a delay, but Lloyd. For now, I could probably just talk to myself about Manhunt, to be honest, and it would be rather unhinged of a live stream, but so many thoughts in my head. Jacques! Hello, welcome. How was your day today? Or how's it going? I'm not sure where you are in the world, to be honest. And did you read Manhunt? A lot of questions to throw at you, but you're the only one here right now, so, or at least the only one in the chat. There could be some lurkers just watching me talk to the void. Once we have at least a few more people in here, we'll play a game to warm everybody up, but we'll see. Sadly, but you saw it at Barnes & Noble? Ah! Okay, I ordered a bunch in for my store, and they still haven't arrived yet, and I'm about to get on our ordering manager's case about it, because I want them in, but they are on order, so I'm hoping we'll get them in. Hey, Des. Des, you read it. I saw you commented on Goodreads. I feel like the Goodreads group, I don't want to say it's like dead, but I feel like everybody's pretty comfortable with the live streams now. So I'm not finding much use for the Goodreads group, to be honest. That's partially my own fault too. I should try and be more active in there, but I'm not using Goodreads to like log my stuff anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Hi, Karnstein. Like the trilogy, like the Hammer trilogy. Yeah, fair call. Yeah, I feel like the live stream is supreme. Although I do worry about people not being able to know like what books are coming up, I guess, but I think that's just something we'll have to live with. Stein, not Steen. Okay. Got it. Frankenstein. I understand. Okay. I do have a little bit of a game. Like the book. It's a book. Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a book. All right. Where's that from, Carmilla? Is that what it is in the actual book? Because I haven't read it yet. I really want to, but I haven't. Sorry, this is already this is already a tangent. I do have a game to play, which I guess it's good. At least Jacques is here, even if you haven't read the book yet, Jacques, because you are at the top of the gore board here for the game so far. So, and this goes across all live streams. It's not just Creepy Book Club. I do games at the beginning of all the live streams, and that's so far this year. Colleen! In transit, but we'll log back on soon. I have thoughts and feelings from Carmilla. Okay, I gotta read it. I gotta read it. Next time I get a copy in at work, like, I'll pick it up. It sells very well. We normally only get like one copy in at a time, and then it gets bought, and then it comes back in, and it gets bought, and so, hey, Angie. All right. I feel like we got enough people in to I demand you read Carmilla. All right. Since you're gonna twist my arm about it, I'll definitely read it. All right, let's play a little bit of a game. And then hopefully that'll give Colleen time to no longer be in transit, and she can share her thoughts and feelings along with the rest of us. Uh, all right, so this game is a little bit different. I'm not going to do the book covers this time. This one could be tricky, could be not tricky. We'll see. Actually, I'm going to pull up the live stream on my phone just real quick so I can see the chat, so I can see who answers first. One moment, stand by. So basically what I'm going to do is I picked 3 books that are hopefully well known enough that you guys might be able to guess what the book is by the first line in the book. I don't know if this will be too hard. I figured this game is probably only good like once or twice, and then I'll probably have exhausted all the notable horror works that could potentially be identifiable by their first line. But I see this all the time on Book Talk. They're like, let me convince you to read some of my favorite books by reading you the first line or something. And I think that's so cute. So, so that's what we're going to play really quick. First person to get the answer wins. You get a point. You go on the gore board. And at the end of the year, for like the top, I don't know, 3 spots, top 5 spots, I don't know, we'll play by ear, I will give out prizes. So this is, again, for all live streams, not just Creepy Book Club. So right now, Jacques is in the lead. Alrighty, so let me get to the first one here. Hopefully it's not too tricky. We'll see. We'll see. All right, I do have them written out also, so you'll be able to read them as I'm reading them aloud. And as if you figure out the answer right away, you don't have to wait for me to stop talking. I know there's a delay anyway, but just type it in. First person to get the answer will win. All right, so here is the first line from our first book. The blaze of sun, wrung pops of sweat from the old man's brow, yet he cupped his hands around the glass of hot sweet tea as if to warm them. Does anybody recognize that line from a book? Again, I picked notable horror works, so it's not some obscure like indie print on demand book. Not Pet Sematary, no. I was thinking about that one, but Louis Creed's name is in the very first line. It's literally like the first 2 words, and I was like, everybody's gonna get that one. Not Pet Sematary. I think this one, the next one is super easy. So I started with the trickier one, I think. I don't know if I should give hints. Probably I should give hints. Let's see. What's a hint I could give? I guess this is technically part of the prologue. It's the first line in the book, but this was made into a movie. A very popular movie that a lot of people cite as the scariest, one of the scariest movies ever. So this is part of the prologue, and it's also a prologue in the movie, so it's not, yeah, I don't know, it's a leading in part. I don't know if that helps. Not Salem's Lot, not The Shining. Angie, you got it on your second guess. Oh, I know, your first guess. Sorry, you got it. It's The Exorcist. I saw Angie's comment first. It's The Exorcist. That one was tricky. I promise the next one is so easy. Nicely done. Nicely done. I'm going to write your name down so I can add you to the gore board for next time. Good job. Read The Exorcist not even that long ago. I was debating whether I should pick the first line like the actual first line in the book, which is in the prologue, or if I should go from chapter 1. I don't think it would have made it that much easier. Yeah, there's really not much identifiable stuff in the first line of the first chapter, but but yeah, good job. Sorry, I did have the answer there. There you go. It's The Exorcist. All right, so for the second one, which I promise is so easy, these little banner things only allow me so many characters. So I got almost the entire first line in the banner. It's literally just missing the last word of the sentence. But I think you guys are going to get it before you even need the last word of the sentence. So here is our second first line. Tell me what book this is from. I think you guys are going to get it right away. I'm going to have to read fast. The terror, which would not end for another 28 years, if it ever did end, began, so far as I know or can tell, with a boat made from a sheet of newspaper floating down a gutter sodden with rain, which is the last word that I'm missing. Karnstein got it right away. Yep, and they all come flooding in. That was a real race because not only were you guys going to get it right away, but it's such a short title that it's like, it's really just a matter of who can hit those 2 keys and hit enter the fastest. Nicely done, Karnstein. Gonna add you to my little list here so I can add you to the scoreboard. Good job. I figured that one was super easy. Super easy. He said, ironically, one you haven't read. I feel like it was still super easy though, because most people, if you've seen the movie or the miniseries, you're gonna recognize the 28 years. You're gonna recognize the newspaper boat. But yeah, that was from it. I was going through my entire shelf, like trying to find books that I feel like most people would know, and then like opening them and like, is the first line a good first line? Like, is it going to be recognizable? I feel like that was a pretty good first line. But long though, it was more than 200 characters that I could fit in these little banners. All right, last one, which should be easy for you if you've been keeping up with the Creepy Book Club. That's your first hint. All right, last one. Fran, squinting in the early afternoon glare, watched through her scratched binoculars as the man knelt to drink. This is the real test. Sorry, I'm just looking down at my phone for the chat. This is the real test. I'm going to be disappointed if nobody gets this. There you go, Des. Haha, little April Fools. Is it really a prank? Not really. It's Manhunt, which is what we're talking about today. Nicely done, Des. You passed the test. I can tell who read it now. Although I knew that you read it. Nicely done. That's Manhunt. It's April Fool's Day. I had to do a little bit of something, you know. It was Manhunt. Good job, which is what we're talking about today. Okay, so I know Colleen has read it, and will pop in the chat at some point. Hopefully, if you're sticking around, excuse me, you've either read it or you don't mind spoilers, because we're definitely gonna talk about a bunch of stuff that happens in the book, and it's a lot more of a time commitment to read a book than watching a movie. So I tend to be more crazy about getting something spoiled for me if it's in a book versus a movie. Hey, Mindy, just got out from getting my hair done. Nice. You just missed the game. That's all. We just played a little game, and we are now starting our discussion of Manhunt by Gretchen Felker-Martin. So if you read it, you came in at a great spot. Angie, sorry, I haven't read it. I just wanted to join the chat and jump on. No, that's okay. You're totally free to hang out, watch the discussion. I'm just giving a spoiler warning just in case you intended to read it later on and you don't want things spoiled for you. So yeah, that's all. People hang out in the chat all the time and they haven't read the book, so it's okay. Okay. All right. So for those of you that have read it, that are in the chat. Oh, and Karnstein read it. Okay, awesome. Just right off the bat, I just want to know, I do have a few like leading prompts to get us to talk about stuff, but what's your initial feelings on finishing the book? Because like when I finished it, it was very much like no thoughts, head empty, but not in a bad way. It was more like my brain was like trying to download and process everything I just read. Like it was one of the like rare moments where I finished a book and I had like zero thoughts. There was nothing going on behind the eyes for like a full 30 minutes. I mean, the book does involve some mutilation, Jacques. It's definitely got a lot of body horror elements to it for sure. But I'm very interested to know what your guys' like initial thoughts were. Can't speak to the experience depicted, but I really liked it. Yeah. Oh, and Karnstein loved it. Ooh, good. I'm glad. It took me forever to come up with a rating also because I was just like, it was all jumbled. All jumbled. I guess to recap super quick, and if anyone's just like hanging out in the chat and listening, the book is a post-apocalyptic, novel that follows two trans women, and there's other characters that come in along the way, who are basically just trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic land in which testosterone gives you this virus, like a certain level of testosterone, I should say, is infecting people with a virus that they call T-Rex. So it turns anyone with enough testosterone in their system to like these just like disgusting, icky, gross things that just want to like kill and eat any like living thing. That's basically what's going on. More or less. And then there's also a group of just like super scary turfs that call themselves the Legion, that also want these trans women dead. And yeah, that's whew. Oh, and Mindy, you read it also too. Okay. Nervous when I saw trigger warning for animal harm. Oh my god. I'm gonna have a time reading comments today. I'm so sorry. So sorry. There's definitely I don't know if there's a space for trigger warnings on Goodreads. I use the story graph and there's a dedicated spot for trigger warnings on book reviews. Like if you just click on the information of the book, you can see the triggering topics. Highly recommend looking at those before you read this because there is a lot that could be triggering to so many people. So definitely look up warnings if you haven't read it yet and you were thinking about it. I recommend the story graph for that sort of thing. For any book, they're really good about that. Mindy started out loving it. I love the premise. I'm a fan of apocalyptic stories. Some parts were hard to read. There were a lot of parts that were hard to read. I agree. It's definitely like very like splatterpunk, gory moments that are just really intense for sure. Have like a parallel to Stephen King's novel Sleeping Beauties. Never read that one yet, so maybe somebody can give you a yes or no in the chat if that's accurate, but I'm not sure. Yeah. It was a lot, but that's kind of what's going on. It also just delves into like the relationships between all these different characters. There's a trans man they meet along the way, Robbie, and then Beth and Fran, our main character's friend. Indy is like I don't know like exactly what her like I know she works in like a medical profession, but she helps like process like estrogen for Beth and Fran to like keep the testosterone from turning them into the monstrous things that want to eat everything. So it's like it deals with like all their relationships also. So it's yeah. Love the JKR shade. Yes, the JKR shade and there was a little subtle bit of Stephanie Meyer shade also. There's like a little blip of a scene in like a library and one of the characters shelving New Moon and they say by the Mormon lady, by the Mormon lady instead of their name. I like it. And I think the turfs at one point are referred to as the Knights of J.K. Rowling, which was also hilarious. Oh, and Shauna and Marielle jumping in. Hey guys. Started it. It felt like if Christina Henry wrote Station 11. I still haven't read any Christina Henry. I think I have two of her books on my shelf, possibly three, and I haven't read either of them yet. Also haven't read Station 11, so sorry. I'm sure that's accurate. I just can't speak to that. Didn't read this month's book, but it looks amazing. I've already started My Dearest Darkest. That is our April book, everybody. In case you just want to like jot it down or get a jump on it. Get a jump on it. It's April 1st. So it's Oh, thank you. Thank you. Definitely follow me at least somewhere because as I said at the beginning of the stream, I think the Goodreads era of Creepy Book Club is dead. So to keep up to date on like what we're reading and when the streams are, definitely like Twitter or Instagram at least, or just on YouTube. I've been better at posting updates like as posts on YouTube also. Laughed out loud at the ship being called the Galbraith. Yeah. It took me a second. Like it took me a minute to understand the reference. And I work in a bookstore, so I know, you know, J.K. Rowling's pen name is Robert Galbraith. Writes like 2 mystery novels under that name. Not like she's been super prolific with her writing, but it did take my brain a second to catch up to that. I usually like do a pointed this every time I walk past her books in the mystery aisle under Galbraith. I'm like, Scourge. The Chromosome Crusaders. So many good ones in there. So many good ones. I do like the line too where they mention that the turfs are. I wish I had written down the exact quote. They're like exceedingly interested in everybody's sexual organs. A lot of digs at the turfs, which were very fun. Very fun. Hey Ben. Hey. All right. So I do have a couple of prompts because I know there's a lot going on in this. I couldn't find any like actual discussion questions or anything, so they're just super basic. So the characters, we got a lot of characters in this, so I want to know everybody's favorites, least favorites. How did you feel about their character arcs? I feel like I really went down a rabbit hole reading reviews on Goodreads, like articles and things to see how everybody was feeling about the book because it felt like it was going to be something that might be divisive. And I was kind of right in a way. On Goodreads, I could tell from a couple of the comments, it looks like it got review bombed on there, which fucking sucks. Another reason why I stopped using that site because people will just go in and make 5 bajillion accounts to give something a 1-star rating, having not read it. And it's just, yeah. And some of them even like write a review. So I go and read it because I wanted to read some of the more critical reviews of it. And you can tell when it's somebody just review bombing and it's just shit. Absolute shit. So I'm interested into what everyone's favorite characters were. You got Beth, Fran, Robbie, Indy. And then there's the one, we do follow a character that's part of the TERFs, whose name I'm blanking on. Ramona? Me literally trying to like flip through the book super quick. Pretty sure it's Ramona. Yeah. Who is, I don't want to say like a super complicated villain, but like she is. Because she's part of like the TERF gang and she's like rising in the ranks, but also is on board with what they're doing, but isn't on board with what they're doing. But she doesn't do anything to like help. Period. Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up, Karnstein. Yes. Because there's a lot going on. Not just with like our 4 main characters. I would definitely say those are our main characters who you listed there. But there's like other like groups and other like factions and, you know, that they come into contact with and interact with, and like they're just throwing around names, and it's like it's very easy to get lost in all of that, for sure. Liked all the main ones. Beth, Robbie, Fran, and Indy. they go through some shit, man. Like, damn. As soon as they get to that underground bunker, I feel like everything just goes to shit. Oh, hey, Gory. Didn't read the book, but I wanted to see Maven. Here I am. Welcome. I'll make a storyboard for. Oh, that would have been a good idea, but I feel like the storyboard for just the characters on this would be like, it would just be so many names, and is a lot. It was a lot. Ramona was a fascinating character to read. I think she was like really scary and like complicated at the same time, but like not super complicated. It's like you could tell. I feel like I could tell like the real world links for her character for sure. Bunker life was insidious. Oh my god. In the summary they just refer to her as the bunker brat, but what's her name? Sophie? I can't believe I'm remembering these names, to be honest with you. I feel like my brain like dedicated to the ones I thought were going to be like more main. I mean, she's a pretty main character. That main character, like main side character, she's just fucking insane. I think it's Sophie, the one who runs the bunker, who's like trying to get pregnant and using one of the feral men to do so, which is like that scene where Indy is like collecting semen from it, and I'm like, oh my god, like oh my god. Definitely parts in here that are not for the weak of stomach, that's for sure. Holy shit. Yeah, the end of the world is, what's the thing on the book say? The end of the world is nuts. It really is. I guess speaking of the end of the world, what are everybody's thoughts on the virus? Because I feel like I don't want to say we've had so many like gendered apocalypse stories lately, but it's been compared to Y the Last Man, which is a very similar premise, where it's this actually it's not testosterone that it's targeting, it's a chromosome in Y the Last Man. Targets any living thing with a Y chromosome. I've also read a very, very short-lived graphic novel called Man-Eaters that is similar to this also. But it's kind of like the opposite. It's estrogen that turns girls into like giant man-eating cats. Um, but there's a couple now where I feel like we have a very small subgenre of like gendered apocalypse stories. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about the testosterone virus, T-Rex, and the way the story played out. I guess the only issue I had with like the way the story played out is really just nitpicky stuff. Like there was like weird jumps in time. Maybe it was just me, and maybe somebody will call me out for not paying attention more, I guess, when I was reading, but I felt like there were like weird jumps in time that didn't announce themselves until like a couple of lines in. Like there would be like a page break and we start some other action, and like about a paragraph down it would tell you that it was like 3 weeks after what we just saw or something like that. So there'd be like weird like jumps of time that pass, and you're like, I felt like I was trying to play catch up a couple of the times in the book. I don't know if anybody else experienced that also with this. Like that's just a super nitpicky thing. Um I wouldn't say I'm like the hugest fan of apocalypse novels either. I think Mindy said you were. You're more of a fan of apocalypse stuff, but anytime I do read an apocalypse stuff, I personally feel like I want details on like what is happening in the world. Like how did this happen? What happened to everybody? Like what happened to, I guess, like the people in power, or did everything just crumble? Like what happened? Uh I feel like I want all those details, and I don't think it's well, I don't. I know it's not the point of this story to like give us all the dirty details on what happened leading up to our story. It's about the characters and what they're going through, but I just want to know all that stuff. So I felt a little disappointed that it was just like we just pop up in the middle of this apocalypse and it's like, okay, we're here now. And anyone with too much testosterone is feral, and that's really all you need to know. I liked everything about the actual virus and what they needed to do to prevent getting it. Very interesting. Yeah, it presents a very, very interesting problem for our characters because 3 out of the 4 of our main characters are trans. So you have Beth and Fran, who desperately need estrogen to make sure that they don't get too much testosterone in their system. Otherwise, they're going to turn into one of those monsters. And then you have Robbie, who is a trans man, and can't take any testosterone. Otherwise, he'll turn into one of these monsters. And it's a very, very like sad. I feel like, especially on Robbie's part, really sad dilemma in this apocalypse. I read it as an intentionally outlandish representation of how TERFs see the world. Like, we never hear of a cis woman with high T turning into a thing, but literal newborns will rip out of their mother. Yeah. There's like that problem also. Like anybody, I guess, who was pregnant when this happened or trying to be pregnant, like the crazy bunker lady. So I guess if once your once your fetus has genitals, I guess, at that point, or can literally just rip out of your body, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. And again, part of the reason why I kind of wanted like specifics, like how much testosterone are we talking? Because I mean, anyone that owns a uterus, like when you're like in your cycle, like your hormones start fluctuating and testosterone is a part of that. So it's like, is there a problem at that point? I just wanted details on that. I thought it was an interesting driver for Beth and Fran. The manhunt was a matter of survival. Yes. Yep. They're like, as the cover suggests, for anyone who hasn't read it, they're literally harvesting balls for estrogen. So, but as Des more eloquently puts it, it's a matter of survival, like literally. Otherwise, they're going to turn into one of those monsters. My boyfriend gets so mad because I want to know the before and after stories. Yeah, which just makes it a longer story, and there's always more before and more after. But I'm the same way. I feel like I understand what you're saying. Have a good night, Marielle. Sounds like the premise for an interesting A24 film. I mean, yeah, or an interesting show, because I feel like there's a lot going on and a lot of characters. I don't know if maybe this could be picked up for a show. They already canceled Y the Last Man, which I was disappointed in, but because I so much loved the changes they made to Y the Last Man as like from the graphic novel. But who knows? Maybe maybe somebody will pick it up and it'll be a show or a movie. I guess people already started talking about it too, but our thoughts on the TERFs or the Legion, I guess, as they call themselves, but call them what they are. They're TERFs. There's a bit in the TERF Stronghold where they reveal that any surviving young boys are all forced to cross-dress and take estrogen. And I didn't really understand. Yeah, I think I remember. I remember that part. And I think I don't know if they castrate them also, if I just made that part up. Or maybe somebody just called somebody a eunuch and I and I maybe mixed those two parts up. So that they don't, I guess. Again, yeah, and it I guess doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're also hearing stories within the book of babies literally ripping out of their mom's stomachs. So I feel like I need a degree in like biology or something to to understand the ins and outs of that, because this is why I wanted more information. This is why, yeah, I wanted more information. I feel like I understand things that pertain to my body, but I don't necessarily understand everything about bodily functions. You know what I mean? Um, still processing the implications of this virus and how it plays into the binary view of transphobes. I mean, the TERFs kind of play out like that, because they're very much just like all of them have to go because they say like awful, terrible things, like they're just men disguising as women, stuff like that, and it's just terrible. And yet there's like bits going on where like I think it's the TERFs that are like ultimately in control of this. Like they're taking the trans women and doing like what they did to Beth, who they like forced to be like a daddy, and have sex with these women and like dress in a masculine way, which is like, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not the TERFs that are orchestrating all of that, but it's like, yeah. they seem to very much not care that there's people out there like Indy that are like, helping harvest this estrogen and keep the testosterone levels down for people so that they can survive. And they're just like, no, if you don't have a uterus, you cannot be a part of the club. I guess except the little kids that they that they give estrogen to. It's, yeah. would love this to be expanded into a show, but I can't imagine any network putting forward a show where there's a trans woman curb stomps a turf to death. It's a great point. That's a great point. I feel like it could be an FX thing. I mean, I feel like FX kind of, I don't want to say they go there, but at least in terms of like producing shows, they definitely tend to go on the darker side with stuff like that. So possibly. Why would they make them cross-dress? Because gender roles that these TERFs are horribly enforcing, I suppose. It's like not enough that they're being forced to take estrogen, but also have to cross-dress because they're just terrible. The TERFs are just terrible. Terrible. Oh, but the death of their leader, Teach, was that satisfying? Goodness. I'm glad everybody else, though, seemed to be a little bit confused by the virus also. Like it felt a little bit confusing during some of the scenes that we're seeing. Like I don't fully understand how the virus works with the testosterone, because some boys are being born, some are ripping out of their mom's bodies. How does it work? The TERFs were truly awful. Their treatment of the trans women was hard to take. Yes. Especially since we got to see from the point of view of one of them with Ramona, who has a relationship with Feather. I remember the name. Which is not okay with the Legion, but they also know about it. Like Teach knows about it. And when they kill Feather, like she makes an offhand comment to Ramona that like maybe invest in a good dildo or whatever. But then Ramona is also doing all this awful shit for the TERFs. I don't think we're supposed to sympathize with her at all, because I absolutely didn't. I understand the estrogen, but it's not like a virus is going to say, "Oh no, address." Yeah, it's more like the virus isn't saying, "Oh no, address." It's the TERFs are saying. It's the TERFs that are concerned about the clothing. Yeah, it could have been better explained. Yeah. But like, especially with the description of this being, called like splatterpunk and stuff like that, I feel like I don't know that it was like the purpose to like be all nitty gritty about the like the ins and outs of the virus, I guess, but I just like to know these things. I just like to know these things. I mean, it was for that reason I gave it weighing in that the TERFs were a lot. Colleen. Or you said you have thoughts and feelings. Lay it on us. The TERFs were absolutely a lot. Were they a lot? Like, not only are they awful to the trans men and women in the bunker, but they're awful to their own. Like the scene where they literally rip out one of their members' uterus while they're alive. A lot. It was a lot. But I want to know your thoughts and feelings, Colleen. The bit where the TERFs have trans women lined up and are executing them. Yep. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. Which there's at least 2 scenes that I definitely remember. There's one that Ramona is like an active participant in, and then the one where Feather is included, the one that Ramona is seeing. Like, geez. I'm sure Colleen is typing, but I just want to know her thoughts and feelings. It was a lot. It was absolutely a lot. I guess while Colleen is typing, I finally decided on a rating. It took a while because I was like, I kind of wish I had more about how the virus worked. That was just like a nitpicky thing. But I also thought the story was super unique and I loved reading it, even if it was brutal, absolutely brutal. And it definitely made me uncomfortable. I mean, as it should make a lot of us uncomfortable, not in a bad way, but like because of the point of view we're reading from, for sure. So it's like I'm sure there was stuff that was going on in there too that went way over my head as a cisgendered woman, which is probably the point also. My first experience with filthcore, so I needed a minute, but I grew very attached to the characters. Filthcore. I'm learning all these new terms. This possibly is also when I literally searched Filthcore books, Gretchen Felker-Martin is like the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. So I see her Twitter. The very first thing in her bio is Filthcore Queen. So yep, I'm gonna go ahead and say first foray into that for me also. So raw and visceral and just naked. I am typing. All right, have a good night, Angie. We're reading My Dearest Darkest next. If you haven't popped out already, I'll post it. I was gonna buy the book today at work, and of course I forgot. It's okay. I work tomorrow though, so I will get it then. So I can post a picture so everyone can see what we're reading next. But yeah, it was a lot. I appreciated the point of view that I was reading from. I feel like I learned a lot. I just haven't processed it all yet. Just haven't processed it all yet. So I went ahead with a 4 out of 5. I'll be very interested to see what you guys rated it. And it's hard to kind of like figure out what the internet is rating it because, as I mentioned, it got review bombed on Goodreads, which sucks because then you can't actually see what people are genuinely thinking about it. You have to go in and weed through all the very obvious troll reviews and the genuine ones. Which sucks and it's just really childish. Like really, really childish. I'm very, very interested to see what you guys rated it. It took me a while to get to what I wanted to rate it, but I just gave it a solid 4. The first time I felt that women's bodies being described felt true and valuable to the story. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't wait for all the like the essays and stuff written about this book, honestly. honestly. I want to know what you guys rated it though. Give me your ratings. Also, excuse any background noise you hear because nobody in this house knows how to turn down a TV. So I don't know if you can hear it, but rather than exploitative, it felt like crucial elements to characters. I have no rating. Someday I might pick this up. Very interested to hear what you think about it when you do. Yes. Yeah. Yes. As somebody who relates to indie for sure. Oh man. The her thoughts about her own body. I was like, I feel seen. Feel seen. Rated at 3.5 stars. Love the premise and the ideas. May not be the biggest fan of Filthcore though. Yeah, it looks like I can't really find any other books. I might have to just take a deeper dive into the internet to find any other books that fall under this subgenre. But then I also see things like trashcore, and I'm like, what's the difference? Is there a difference? So I'll have to figure that out. I don't think I've read anything else that would fall under that category, but yeah. Don't know what Filthcore is, but I feel like this is an important book. Yeah, 4 out of 5. Yeah. I feel I feel like I should have pushed myself to finish this earlier in the month so I had more time to process for sure. I feel like it's just going to be like one of those books that now that I've read it, it's like I'm going to like things are just going to like pop up and like light a flare in my brain after the fact. I think 4 out of 5 is pretty fair. It's almost a full 5 out of 5, but just a little bit too confusing in parts to get there. Yeah, the -1 star for me is mostly because I wanted more of the virus and the details into that. There were just some parts that were like that we talked about where I was kind of just like scratching my head a little bit. 3.5, so it seems like maybe 4. Be 5 stars on premise and ideas. Fully agree on that one. Yes, absolutely. Want to recommend Christina Henry if you enjoyed this. Interesting, because her books don't look like, well, I mean, don't judge a book by its cover, which we do all the time. But I guess I don't look into reviews before I read stuff, so I guess I wouldn't know. I should just stop talking. I don't know anything about Christina Henry. I got to read their books. I read this early in the month and I'm still processing. I feel like this is way ahead of time, but like in December, we're going to have like a quick recap of all of the books. And we'll see if we've all come up with any new revelations by then. Maybe we will have fully processed it by December. I feel like it'll be a year-long journey. We should have read this in January, except it just came out. Never mind. Phew. All right, to end it out. Obviously, I talked about it like twice now, just a little bit next month's read. Really quick before we talk about everything else we've been reading this month. There it is. My Dearest Darkest by Kayla Cottingham. Surprisingly, actually, I didn't even know until it dropped in our little like information center at work that it was a monthly pick at Barnes and Noble. Did not know that. It was pretty cool. Hey, Jackie. I guess for Jackie too, who's just popping in. April. Yes, April. Oh my God. What is time, honestly? April book is My Dearest Darkest. This is a young adult horror novel, which will be the second one we've read this year, and I think maybe only the third ever in Creepy Book Club. So I'm excited to read more young adult horror with you guys for sure. This one is marketed as The Craft meets Wilder Girls with a touch of it. Oh, thank you, Annabelle. Anna, I always say Annabelle. I'm so sorry. Annabelle. Thank you very much. Dream much appreciated and always like your choices. Thank you. Jazz hands for the nightmare fuel. I appreciate it. But yeah, so if anybody's interested in picking it up, I guess it's supposed to take place at a boarding school. I think it's a boarding school, some sort of elite academy, and a group of friends summon something from the depths of the school. And much like The Craft, it starts granting their deepest desires. But again, also like The Craft, they all backfire in ways like, everything comes with a price. Sounds really cool. Sounds like it's going to have dark academia vibes again. I think it's supposed to have sapphic vibes. I think. We'll see. Can I just say that a book full of trans characters having sex that's never described in a fetishistic. Sorry, my brain reset trying to read that way is kind of revolutionary. Sad that it's revolutionary, I think, a little bit. Sad that it has to be revolutionary, which just means it's been fetishized so much to where if it's just depicted in any way that's not, it's like, whoa. It's doing that weird thing where I can't see the most recent. Love boarding school books and stories. Me too. Maybe in another life I'll go to a boarding school. I think I would hate it, honestly. I think I love the idea of it, but I think in practice I would hate it. Okay, I'm gonna have to pop up your comment because I can't read it. A monkey's paw premise, then. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it sounds fun. Hopefully it should be easy to pick up because, like I said, it's a monthly pick at my job at Barnes & Noble. So I don't know. I know there's a couple of you that are in different parts of the world, though. So hopefully it's easy to get your hands on. Very excited to read that. And then really quick, at least really quick for me, what's everybody been reading this month other than this? Because I got to tell you, I only finished one other book. And it's across the room. Sorry, I'm not going to go grab it. It's Cackle by Rachel Harrison. Other than that, I am in the middle of like what feels like 17 books. So I'm hoping to finish them all this month. And then in the next Creepy Book Club live stream, I'll have like 20 books to talk about that I read. Anybody else have those months? I'm sure you have, where it's like, I got like nothing read, but I'm in the middle of like 25 of these books. I just have to finish them. I'm in the middle of, I say in the middle of, I've made a very tiny dent in The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I'm in the middle of The Last House on Needless Street. I'm in the middle of Misery by Stephen King. I'm in the middle of Dark Stars, which is an anthology. Okay, Shauna, I'm glad we're in the same boat. Kind of, I've started like 7 books and finished none. And when I was sitting down for this, I was like, okay, let me gather the other books that I've read this month that I want to talk about. And I was like, wait, what else have I read? And I look at my story graph and I'm like, oh, I haven't really finished anything except for Manhunt and this one other book. Read Alice in Wonderland and Fledgling right before this. Fledgling was a Creepy Book Club pick what feels like a very long time ago now. I had some thoughts and feelings on that one. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you for the Nightmare Fuel. This is such an interesting read. Glad you put it on our radar. I'm glad. I don't even remember how I came across this book. I think it was definitely on very many most anticipated of 2022 lists as I was like searching for stuff. It also possibly could have been suggested. Do I still have the list? I don't know. Although I wouldn't be able to tell you who suggested it because this was anonymous. Oh, no. Okay, so this was something I found while surfing the internet. Just started The Wolf Gift by Anne Rice. I still have not read any Anne Rice. I have The Wolves of Midwinter, I think, on my shelf. Love The Way of Kings. I'm reading Misery this month. Okay, so we'll be able to talk about it then. Sweet. I don't know when I'll be finished with The Way of the Kings, though, so that might take me 5 years to finish. The Very Big Book. Been reading paperback copies of Brian Lumley's Necroscope novels. Necroscope. Love when I'm Googling in the middle of a live stream. Ooh. Oh, the covers look really cool. Damn. Necroscope in the series is defined as someone who can communicate with the dead. The covers look rad, honestly. All right, Des. I know your username is Des the Reader, but you don't have to be a show off. Look at all the books Des read, guys. I'm very happy somebody read a lot this month. Thank you. Thank you, Des. Black Sun. I've heard very good things about Black Sun. The Eye of the World, which is a series I don't think I'm ever going to read. Skinfolk, The Seep, The Hellbound Heart. I want to try and read that before they like reboot it on Hulu. The Girl from the Well. I think I tried to read that a very, very long time ago, but I don't think I ever finished it. Have the Way of the King special edition. I'm never gonna read it. It's so long. I loved the Mistborn books. Fucking loved them, and I'm so excited for the new one in November. And this one is just so long. It's so long. I feel like I know it's gonna be good. It's just there's so many other books I want to read too, and I'm like, this could easily take me 2 months to finish. Still need to read The Last House on Needless Street. It's good so far. It is really good so far. The chapters that are from the cat's point of view are just, I love that there's a book out there with chapters from a cat's point of view. Once you read Carmilla, you should read Interview with the Vampire. Definitely going to read Carmilla. I don't know when I'll get to Interview with the Vampire. Carmilla is a novella, so that's a lot easier for me to be like, okay, let me just sit down and read this really quick. Oh, your February book was Once. Okay, you're making up for it. That's fine. Reread Dune and City of Stairs, two of my favorites. I don't think I will ever touch Dune again. Had a horrible experience trying to read it when I was 15, and I was just so not interested in trying to read Dune at 15. I think my dad gave it to me and wanted me to read it or something, and I was like, I got like 80 something pages in and I had no fucking clue what was going on, and it took me like 10 years to brave the adult sci-fi fantasy section after that, because my brain was like, they're all like Dune in there, why would I want to read in there? Brando Sando's out here creating weapons. He has such interesting magic systems, which is like why I want to read them so bad. And the characters usually end up being lovable in their own ways. He's a really good writer. It's just Mistborn was like the right length. I wonder, did you get anybody get Brandy Sandy's secret books for next year? I didn't have the money. It's so expensive. I wanted the hardcovers, and I was like, just going to keep my fingers crossed that they'll eventually be released after the fact. I'm sure they will. Can easily get it on its own these days. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, we get it all the time at work, and it gets bought very frequently. It's like it comes in, people buy it, and it's just I think we're modeled for it at this point. So it's like the tune can be rather dry. Well done. I did watch the newer movie in an attempt to try and understand what was going on, and I feel like I didn't help myself at all. It was a very pretty movie. I still feel like I had no idea what was going on. It's just one of those things where it's like, I'm so happy that other people enjoy it. So happy everyone is enjoying it and they're having a great time with it. So many people have been like coming in buying the series and they're continuing to read like past the first book. But I think it's just one of those things. It's like I just have to accept facts that it is not for me, and that's okay. And that is okay. Whew. Okay. So that's that, folks. I don't know if I have my, hold on, I was going to see if I have the, oh, I do. Just a quick glimpse for the next 3 books here in case anybody wanted to just jot them down really quick to keep up on what we're going to be reading in May and June. So for April, we're reading My Dearest Darkest, which we just talked about. May, we'll be reading Alma Katsu's new book, The Fervor, which I have an arc for, and I'm so excited. I've already started reading it. I know I'm way ahead, but I was just very excited to get the arc. And I love Alma Katsu's books. So, and then we're reading the Hacienda. Marielle is not here to tell me if I said that right this time. We'll be reading that in June. So in case you wanted a little sneaky peek again, a little refresher, those will be our next books. And then we're going to have to start thinking about soon what we want to read in the last half of the year. But just keep your eyeballs peeled for anything maybe new coming out later in the year, so we can put it on our list and I'll put it in a poll to vote for. And yeah. But all in good time. We don't have to worry about it yet. Just keep your eyeballs peeled. As a bookseller, I will also keep my eyeballs peeled for anything cool and new that we can read in the latter half of the year. But yeah, thank you for coming to this stream. I'm glad everybody's enjoying the streams and everyone's enjoying the discussion, because I think it's not going to happen on Goodreads anymore. Will you do Rex and polls in Goodreads? I think the Goodreads is kind of dead, and that's all, like 90% my fault, because I haven't been using it for logging my books anymore, so I haven't been on the site or on the app as frequently. So I'll probably more likely do the poll as like a Google form and probably just post it like all over my Twitter, on YouTube, like in a post on YouTube and anywhere else that I can link it. So yeah, if you follow me in any of those places, you'll see the poll. I'll make sure it's like blasted everywhere. And in terms of like recommendations, if you come across anything like at any point, even before I officially start asking for recommendations, you can just shoot me a DM anywhere. You can just leave a comment somewhere and just say this is for Creepy Book Club. You can shoot me an email, nightmaremaven@gmail.com, if you think of anything. And I'll just keep a running list of it, so I'll be able to include them in the poll when it comes time to vote for it. But yeah. So yeah, at any time, just shoot me a line. Do I review microfiction? As a bookseller, I don't really know what microfiction is. Is that different from a novella? Super short stories told in 1,000 words or less. I have not looked into it, but I will, and I will get back to you. Unless you want to send me a couple that are really good. Um, so thanks for coming, you guys. Thanks for the discussion. And I will see you soon just on the channel and around because I see you guys all over the horror community. So I'm sure I'll talk to you again before next live stream. And then I'll definitely see you next time to talk about My Dearest Darkest. Really excited to read that one. Very different. What's your email? I will put it in the chat right now. There we go. There's my email. So if you have any microfiction you want to send me, very interested to learn about it, you can go ahead and send it there. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night / day wherever you are in the world, and a good weekend. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.